You are ready. That's the title of this sermon today. Try to encourage and build you folks up. Anybody feel like you need building up today? I think we all do every day, don't we? Need some encouragement? Well, let me share with you a brief story that might help us into this passage today. It involves my grandson, of course. Well, it's time. Let's get into the car. And I'll take you swimming, I said. My oldest grandson looked down at his feet. What's wrong? I said. I don't have my swimming suit on. Okay, go get it, and we can put it on when we get there at the pool house. They have a pool house there. Everything's going to be fine. You just grab it, and we'll get going so we can enjoy the day. Brian didn't move from the spot. He just stood there. What is it now? I said. Grandpa, I burn easily, so we can't go without sunblock. Mom says. I have to have a certain brand. Otherwise it'll break me out. Okay. Yeah, I'll call your mom and make sure we get the right sunblock. I'll have her send a photo of it. We'll be really concerned about that. There's a Dollar General on the way. We can stop. We can get it picked up. Good to go swimming. What do you think? Let's go. Once again, Briar just stood there. So what's wrong now? I asked. I can't swim so well, so I have to have my arm floaties. And they're back at the house. And that's a far way away. I can't go to the pool without them. I also need my beach towel. And my goggles. Now, I'm still a little dense at this grandpa thing. But I eventually picked up on Briar's subtle hints that he just didn't want to go swimming that day. Nothing I said or did was going to make any difference to that little guy. He was going to keep coming up with excuse after excuse why he didn't really want to go swimming. And let me tell you, as someone who doesn't look good in the swimming suit, I was proud of my grandson's determination to avoid that city pool at all costs. I didn't want to go either, but I was trying to do the grandpa thing, right? Take the little guy to something we think is fun. You know what? Churches are really good at making up excuses too. Don't you think? For why they don't want to do something. They never come out. They never come out and tell you exactly what it's about. They just hint at it from the edges. Am I right? We can't attract younger membership. Look at all the gray hair and blue hair and the walkers that we have lined up in the hallway. How much is this project going to cost the church? We're all living on Social Security and small pensions, and who's going to enjoy it when we're gone anyway? We just can't afford to have nice things from Carroll House. Hold evening events? We don't drive at night, Pastor. Hold morning activities? Half of us don't get out of bed until noon. We are a little dense when it comes to picking up on the hints, aren't we? In the life of the church. We can just dial this church thing back until we fill up the cemetery. Isn't that what a lot of churches in North America are willing to accept as their future right now? Just dial it back, fill up the cemetery. As long as we've got a good service in our own future, let's let this thing go. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." The Lord replied, "If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you." Now, I had a mustard seed. If anybody wants to search for it right now, I think it fell out of my pocket. I don't know. It might still be in my pocket. I can't get it out. Well, here, my friends, is the early church's version of the excuse that my grandchild said and that I've heard the church say over the time of my lifespan. We don't have enough faith to survive in a world that might persecute us for sharing the good news. That's what their excuse was, all the way back then. They had excuses. For some reason on this Sunday, I think that's good news. We're not alone after all. The church, the early church, has always had excuses for why they couldn't do something. We don't have enough faith to forgive everyone. 70 times 7? Come on. Just before this section, if you had read, they were already discussing about how difficult it is to forgive others. And especially if your neighbors are now persecuting you. If we're going to get this church thing going, we're going to stand out like a sore thumb. And what are people going to do to us? We're not so keen on this persecution, punishment stuff. We don't have enough faith to start a church ourselves. That was part of it underlying this too, right? A church, you just told us you're going to go away at some point. You're going to die on a cross. And if you're serious about all that, we don't want any part of this. None of us wants to be on the next pulpit committee. None of us wants to be a preacher. None of us wants to do this unless you're going to be the one standing in front of us, leading the show. We don't have enough faith to hand out business cards to family, friends, and certainly not strangers. Okay, I know they didn't have business cards back then. But you do. Right? They're at the door. Make sure you pick some up today. Come on. We don't want to really take this church thing too seriously, do we? I'm afraid that's what's happened to us, friends. It's what was happening in the early church. We like to go along with this, you know, Jesus, and learn some stuff, and it's all nice and good and everything, but we were just hoping this was like a 3-hour tour. We didn't want to get stranded on some island with you forever. We don't want to take this church thing too seriously. Eventually, we want to go back to our old lives of fishing and taking care of families and doing some other stuff that we enjoy. We don't want to be here all the time. Don't you think there's a lot of us that are here don't really want to take the church all that seriously either? I mean, we like the Sunday things okay. There's usually a nice meal afterwards. But 24/7? No pay? See, there's where I got you beat. Anyway, let's think about the Apollo space missions. Been thinking about space exploration lately. Any of you into that? Kind of watching what we're doing? The Apollo space missions had those small windows built, right? Now, there were some, I hear, when they were beginning to plan all this, said, we don't want to take the chance, you know. Maybe we shouldn't have any windows, you know. But they gave in, you know. They put enough windows so that the astronauts could see the Earth, the moon's surface, out of those small little windows. They could see out of those windows. Just think of it. The Earth from a perspective of millions of miles. The first human beings to behold what the earth actually looked like. Who could confirm all of those theories? Yep, the world's not flat. And they could see the vastness of the moon's surface with all of those craters. They could see the size, the vastness of outer space through those tiny windows. You see, the size of the windows really didn't matter, because they could see something that no one else had ever been able to see. That's the way faith works. Jesus is saying in this text, right? That's the way faith works. You have a little mustard seed somewhere rolling around on the ground here. There's a mustard seed so small that most of us aren't going to be able to see it. Even with a magnifying glass. So small, but it's like a little window. If you can see God through a tiny window, then it doesn't really matter how big the window is, because you can see something life-changing. You can see the God of all creation. You can see the God of the universe. Just think about it. So don't stand there telling me you can't do something until you put on your flip-flops and your sunglasses. When God says, get in the car, it's time to go, you do it. You do it, don't you? I mean, you did it for your parents. You did it for your grandparents. Can you do it for God? Because where there is God, there is always a way. Do you believe it?
Yes.
Verse 7. Who among you would say to your slave, who has just come in from plowing or tending sheep in the field, come here at once and take your place at the table? Would you not rather say to him, prepare supper for me, put on your apron, and serve me while I eat and drink? Later you may eat and drink. Now, just for this sermon, I tried this on with a wife. It didn't go so well. Do you thank the slave for doing what was commanded? So you also, when you have done all that you were ordered to do, say, we are worthless slaves. We have done only what we ought to have done. This is a little strange saying of Jesus. Kind of seems disjointed to me, the placement here. Just kind of, where the heck did this one come from? We're just going to lay it right here? I don't know. I'm not Luke. I would have done a better job. Isn't that the truth? We sometimes think that we would have done a better job. Okay, keep that in mind. You know, I was thinking this day when you were talking about all the work you did yesterday, I was thinking, boy, I picked a good day to have a birthday party for my grandkids and not to be here. You do a lot around here. Some of you showed up yesterday and you started working on various projects to help improve our physical building and the land that surrounds it, and you're making a difference there. Many of you put in several hours a week taking care of our financial books, right? Karen, Lisa, so that we would have reports at our church council meetings and know what the heck is going on here. A few of you make sure that the cemetery grass is always mowed, that the tombstones are still in good shape, that you can read people's names and such. Some of you send out birthday cards and sympathy cards. You send up prayers for others. You teach and you play with the children that come here. You study and you instruct the youth. You feed the hungry. You visit the sick. You give generously. I think all of you deserve a raise. Or at least a big thank you. You know, why not directly from God? I think you all deserve a thank you from God. Wait a minute. See, this is where, the church, the scriptures, sometimes just when you think you got things figured out, the scripture's kind of like a weapon in which it kind of knocks you out at times, A slap across the face? Actually, my dad did that once or twice. No, I'm just kidding. I probably deserved it, though. Wait a minute. All that we do, even the hard work we do for God, never for one moment, I think this text is telling us, puts God in our debt. We are always servants. We're always the slaves. We're just doing what we're supposed to do. It's the wrong mindset. If we come thinking that somehow one of these days God's going to send us a thank you in the mail. Thank you, Jim, for showing up at the church cleanup event. Thank you for singing in the choir, Betty. Thank you, Joe, for giving out jam. It's never going to come. If you and me, if we're just showing up because we think we're going to have some kind of inside track to the loveness and the goodness of God because we're doing stuff, this text says you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. The servant is always a servant. And we can never put God in our debt. Now, what the text doesn't tell us is that many of those folks that were following Jesus left after this. Because if there's nothing in it for me, I could better spend my time doing something else. If it's nothing for me. See, all genuine service to God, this text is telling us, is done from a position of gratitude, not to earn anything. And what's so difficult about all these sayings in this particular chapter and elsewhere in Scripture is the sense that what Luke is trying to tell us is to be humble, to have humility in our daily walk. But here's the problem. The folks that always think they're humble don't ever get it, right? And the folks that are humble, well, you could point to them and say, you're a humble person, and they wouldn't know it. And that's part of the problem, isn't it? Is that the audiences are all mixed up. The folks that are humble don't know that they're humble, and the folks that think they're humble are the very ones that cause all the problems in the life of the church. So I'll leave you to figure out which you are. I know which one I am. I'm the humble one. You don't need an increase in faith, friends. You just need to use what you've already been given. Even if it's a little window or a mustard seed, Christ is telling us today, plant that seed. Look through that window. You don't get a trophy for what you do in the church, but you do get the satisfaction of working for God. And that, according to these texts, is its own reward. So if you can live with this arrangement, then you can be a Christian too. Who wants to sign up today? Who wants to? You know what? We haven't had a good altar call. I know I'm not Baptist, but I could try. Anybody want to come up and join today? I've got the worship book here. I'm serious. I'm going to put you on the spot. Anybody want to come up today and save Pastor's sermon? There we go. You see, it's not so totally new. I'll give you a second to think about it. I still got 20 minutes for this sermon. All right. Well, you think about it, would you? Think about it. Because all of us are here to serve Christ. Amen.